I'm a small business. I'm a small business owner, and my clients are the same as well. Small businesses are having a tough time in the current economy. On top of it, the bureaucracy behind our tax system and the licenses that you have to get to be in business. I have almost 20 different licenses and permits to operate this little business. The bureaucracy is stifling America. The Internal Revenue Code is like a box of Cheerios. And imagine, if you will, you open up a box and you look at all the Cheerios in there, and every one of them is a rule, a regulation, a red tape. And we take a marble and we drop the marble into the box of Cheerios, and it has to filter its way down to the bottom, and the objective is to land on a dime at the bottom of the box of Cheerios. The likelihood of the marble landing on the dime is pretty small, and to the extent that you don't land on the dime, the IRS, our system, penalize you for not being accurate in your following of all of these rules. Well, no one can follow them anymore, not completely. You can have your tax return done by 50 different people. You're going to get 50 different tax returns. And the further away your marble lands from the dime, the bigger your penalty. Some people come to me because their marble didn't land in the box. It landed outside the box, and they're in serious trouble. I do not look at the tax preparation business as being a technical or a forms completion service. It is a process of listening to what people want. We want to look into the eyes of our clients and see who they are. And we work backwards to help them accomplish their objectives and their dreams. We work backwards by filling out tax forms technically that accomplish that objective. And approaching the tax business with that frame of mind means people first. The financial statements that come into our office sometimes have numbers on them that don't reflect what's going on. People may not know how to use the program effectively or prepare financial statements. And so when they come in here and we're looking at things, first we're trying to understand the client's financial status. A balance sheet tells us your financial status. An operating statement tells us how you're behaving, how you're doing. And we look at your financial status and we look at how you're doing, how you're behaving, and we combine those two things into a perspective that should match what we're hearing and feeling coming from the client. And once we map that perspective and we're working with someone, then the numbers make sense to the story. And it's only then can we really go into and start working on that tax return and preparing that tax return. Your balance sheet is your report card on how you're performing economically. And we want to work to get straight A's. And when we look at a balance sheet and it's showing C's and D's and in some cases F's, we know that you have to change the way that you have been taking your classes. We need some new thinking on the table, and we need to branch out into new areas. Sometimes we get so caught up in the way we think things have to be that we lose sight of other opportunities around us. When we look at where a client wants to go, a balance sheet tells us where you're at. If you don't know where you're at, it's going to be kind of hard trying to figure out how to get to where you want to go. I sometimes talk with people and refer to this concept called the 9 dots. The 9 dots represents a box. And sometimes if you find yourself locked into a pattern that you can't seem to break out, it's a good idea to see if you could explore breaking out of that thinking pattern, to create ideas that are currently not on the table, that are a stretch of the imagination, that sometimes even push your own status outside the 9 dots, hanging around people that come up with original thinking, original ideas, and are not bound by the parameters of a 9 dot is a good thing. We want that box to expand. And if they find themselves not being able to find their way out of the 9 dots, it could be because they don't feel like it's possible. They feel beat up, and or they don't feel they have the skills necessary to expand the box. A doctor told me that they heard some rather irregular patterns going on inside my heart. And so they did some tests. The diagnosis was that my heart was going to go and that I needed prompt action or my lifespan would be cut short. They took out the top part of my heart and replaced it with this accordion and the scalp valve. And it was a real scare. Probably one of the most important things is that I don't feel I can count on an 80-year-old life, and I better have as much fun in the process of getting old rather than putting it off. The scare put a little eye-opener in front of me that basically said, enjoy your life. You don't know what the future is going to bring, and enjoy the people around you and do your best. And have fun, and try to recognize when you're in a frame of mind that's negative. If you think that you're hiding it, it's not hidden. People feel it, and you draw in energy that duplicates that process. If you find yourself around people that are negative, rather than assume they are the negative ones, ask yourself what you're doing wrong, and you're likely to turn around the environment and make it positive. Have fun, make money, enjoy life. I like backpacking. I'm a scuba diver. I like heading out to ab dive on the North Coast, and I like traveling. I just went down to Mexico about a month ago. We got there, and as we were driving from the airport out to this remote town, watching how poor those people are in Mexico was stunning, and it made me revisit how lucky and fortunate I am, and put me in check with what other people are having to deal with. When I went down there to see that, and I seen children with flies on their heads sitting on the sides of the streets, that was something I've only seen in poverty commercials on TV. But when I seen it live, and I drove down those little cities, and they were still drying their clothes on clotheslines out on the front tree of their house. They don't have sidewalks. They don't have showers, bathrooms. They have a shack in the backyard. And then when I come here and I look around at what I have here, I ask myself if I really have anything to complain about at all, and I don't. We're very fortunate. I think traveling opens the mind and allows people to better understand who they are. When someone in this type of distressed situation comes in to talk to me, recognizing that the old way of doing things, the way that they've been doing it, isn't going to work. We really need them to get out of the 9 dots, shift the way they are thinking, and open up a new way. Let the baggage go. Let the debt go. If this means bankruptcy, have at it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're already bankrupt. It's a matter, bankruptcy is a matter of clearing it up so you can move on. But many people, the backbone of America, the small business person, they do not like failure. And they view filing bankruptcy as a failure. For me, I look at it as an opportunity for a fresh start. New ideas, getting out of the 9 dots, and hanging around people, and most importantly, having a positive attitude from inside your heart. All of those things are required ingredients to move on. And the tax system that follows this process, the tax forms that have to be filled out, cancellation of debt, foreclosure, dispositions of properties, losses of properties in this process, if carefully analyzed, usually have minimal or no tax consequence. And being able to understand that process of tax law, reorganization, and moving on, and to a large extent, what the IRS will accept in the process of moving to the new area are the services that act as the foundation for what somebody that is an enrolled agent, licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS, really does. That's what we do. We look at this whole package and work with people to phase that in. I was a high school dropout, and I left high school in my 3rd year to go work in a car factory out in Fremont. And I decided that I would try to catch up and get my high school diploma, so I went to a college called Ohlone College in Fremont. And I found out that I had to take 10 classes at the college, and if I did, they would give me my high school diploma. So I went up there and I sat in on a business class, and I took the class and became the star student with 100% on the test that no one had ever done that before. It really jazzed me, and so I continued on that process of taking those classes, got my high school diploma. And then I decided to get what we call a AA degree, Associate's Arts degree. And I said, I like business. And I felt I had a natural sense of being a business owner. So I got a degree in business administration. And as I picked up my AA degree, I asked myself, well, with a business degree, maybe I should get a bachelor's degree and specialize in something else. And I really didn't know for sure what I wanted to do. So I said, well, what pays the most? And at that time, 30 years ago, accounting was the most prosperous occupation to go in. So I picked up my specialty bachelor's degree in accounting. And when I got done with my bachelor's degree, I said, well, what pays the most that I could run my own small business for right now? And it turned out that I could prepare income tax returns, and I was doing it already in my own small business. And so I decided to specialize in taxation, and it turned out that the best way for me was helping people in serious tax trouble reorganize. So I went and picked up a 3-year training program that specialized in the National Tax Practice Institute, which specializes in representing taxpayers before the IRS at the highest levels. I picked up my degree or my certification from that and began opening offices. It's about people. Look into the eyes of the people around you, and you will find your opportunity. Helping them is a prerequisite to getting ahead.